We're going to be covering roundabout faults on your driving test. So we'll get driving, and we're going to look at mistakes on roundabouts that people do on the driving test. So let's get going. And we'll do a left at the end of here, and we'll start doing some roundabouts, and I'll talk about the most common ones people do. First up, by the way, is going to be signalling. It's one of the things that people do all the time, or people forget all the time. We're just going to get ourselves in a position. We're just going to wait for the traffic. So yeah, signalling. Now it's important, obviously, you've been taught this from your instructor, to signal on the approach and signal to exit roundabouts. And the amount of people who forget it on the test is unreal. Because the examiner will tell you, they might prompt you, might be a sat nav. So we're going to go left. So we're going to go mirrors, signal, so centre mirror, left mirror, signalling left, it's up. That bit's an easy one. And sometimes it comes off and they forget about it, and you're going to get a fault. So it's not necessarily going to be a serious, but it's going to be a driver fault. And if it affects someone, then it could end up being serious. So it's nice and clear, and we're going to carry on going. That's a nice easy one, right? So nothing too tricky. So we're going to carry on, and we're going to take it to the next stage with the signalling on the roundabouts. So we're going to drive to the next roundabout, and we're just going to keep driving, and we're going to run through the faults. I'm going to run through what people do things wrong on the test, because I've seen it all. You know, I've sat in that many tests, unreal. So the next roundabout we're going to come to, we're going to do a right turn. So a right turn, obviously on a dual lane, in these changing lanes. And what people do is they'll check their mirrors, they'll signal, and then as soon as they come across, they'll cancel. At that point, they forget the signal until the last minute when they're entering. Leave it on. You've already passed that roundabout sign. Let everyone know. And if it comes off and you realise, reset it. Because if you're not signalling on the approach, you're going to get a fault. And it depends on the examiner, depends on what's going on. People don't know what your intentions are. I'm sure you've cursed other drivers. God, I could have gone then if they signalled. So don't be one of them people. And then another fault with signalling, and we'll move on after that, is they don't signal to come off. Check your mirrors, signalling, they leave that right signal on instead of cancelling and going to the left. So that's an easy one on that, isn't it? So we'll get ourselves in the right lane. Then we're going to come back, we're going to do a U-turn and come back, and we're going to carry on with the signalling. It's one other thing people do with signals that just sticks in my mind, that crops up on the driving test. And you don't see people doing it after they pass the test, but really, if everyone signalled, life will be a lot easier. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of times when you slow down, giving way to traffic. See, I'm signalling to come off then. Giving way to traffic, and they just turn left, and it's a signal on the approach, it'd be easier. Now that's why people pick up faults on the test, because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So we're going to go ahead, so we're checking what's happening around us, and we're slowing down, and you can see the lane markings. The middle lane goes ahead, right lane goes ahead. We're going to use the middle, and we're slowing down for second gear, checking what's happening on our right. Now there's traffic coming, so I'm getting my position. And I'm not signalling at the moment because I'm going to go ahead, but I'm going to signal to come off the roundabout. So I'm just going to wait for this safe gap. So I'm entering, checking my mirrors to the left because I'm in the left lane, signalling to come off. And that's another fault they do. They don't signal to exit the roundabout because they're thinking I'm going to go ahead. Everyone knows. Well, you need to tell people your intentions on your right, who are looking at you thinking what you're doing. So that's the signal one. So we're just going to move on to the next roundabout. We're going to go ahead for the next two. And then the next one that crops up is the observations at roundabouts when they're moving off. They'll come to a busy one, and they're either looking late and they end up slowing down, stopping, so they get observation faults, or they're not looking what's happening to the traffic, and they're not doing a final check. Now, a final check is as you approach the roundabout and you're checking your mirrors, signal if need be, depending on where you're going, where you're going to go ahead. So I'm checking my mirrors and I'm slowing down. As I'm slowing down, I'm checking what's happening, and I'm looking at the roundabout at this point, and I'm slowing down for a lower gear, and I'm looking, I'm glancing, I'm not staring. People stare, and that's one of the things to do. They stare and drift. That's a fault. So observations again, and it's changing all the time. So I'm quick glances, and they don't check as they're about to enter, because it changes. Because you could get a car, and I'm sure you come across it when you're doing your lessons. It was coming like a rocket round that bend on the roundabout, and your instructors put their foot on the brake because you didn't check. You just looked and then went off and didn't look again. So as you're about to enter, final check, whether you're going left, right or ahead. So we're going to go ahead again. So yeah, you approach it, checking what's happening behind you with your mirrors, checking what's happening directly in front of you, so you don't drive into them, and checking to your right. So there's two cars coming across me, so I'm slowing down for first gear, looking at the white line, and there's a gap, gas, biting point, checking my mirrors, signalling to come off to the left, sticking to my lane. So that's observations one. Now the other observations people do wrong, and that's just going to go ahead, is they're not checking what's happening next to them when they're going round a roundabout. While they're on the roundabout, they just think everything's going to be honky-dory and nothing's going to go wrong. And as you know, as you get more experience, the amount of drivers who do things wrong around you is unreal. So you've got to be aware of your position that you're in and look at what's happening next to you. So I'll give it a good example. We're going to go right at the roundabout. So we're going to get ourselves into the right lane. And we're going to go right third exit. Now, there's nothing wrong with your approach because you've done your mirrors, you've done your signals, you're slowing yourself down, you're checking to your right, everything's fine. And then you're about to enter the roundabout, and you just got to keep an eye on the car next to you, on your immediate left next to you, who's going to drive ahead. Because it might be that car on your right starts cutting into your lane, starts drifting. So you might have to slow down a little bit. Or when you're coming off here, you're checking your mirrors and there's a car directly in your left shoulder. And that's why you're checking your left mirror and sometimes your left blind spot, depending on how big the roundabout is. If it's a big 3-lane roundabout, you're going to check your blind spot on your left a little bit as you're crossing over, making sure that there's no car trying to shoot past you on the left, undertake you at that point. So that's another fault people do, is they just assume it's going to be fine. So they check their mirrors, signal, and start coming across and don't react to the problem. And even though it might not be your fault for them doing that, you've got to react to that problem. You've got to, oh, there's someone next to me, I need to do something. I need to react to that. I need to either slow down a bit and let them shoot past me, or I need to stick to my lane and not come across because I'm going to drive straight into them. So that's another fault. So let's move on to the next one then. So another one would be finding yourself in the wrong lane. Now, if you get one of these people who gets the lefts and rights mixed up, and then it's normal, so don't worry about it. But it's important that you go where your intentions are supposed to go. So if we're going to go right, and you go mirror signal right, then fine. Then you're happy then, aren't you? Now, this is another thing. As I'm going right, all of a sudden, you're going to get a spanner thrown in the works. And this is a good example now. So I'm checking the mirrors to come off, and there's a road closure. Well, stay in the right lane. And just think about it for a second. Think, right, what can I do here then? Well, I can't get off there. I'm staying in the right lane. Right signal's on. I'll have a think about it. Well, I'm going to take the one before it. Check the mirrors, signal, and I'm off. So you've improvised. Because if you try to go off there and you'll be straight into that barrier, or you'll be trying to come off and then you're going to go panic stations, like that. So you might have to improvise, and that's where your safety and common sense will prevail. So don't feel like, oh, I've got to get off because that's supposed to be where I'm going. I can't get off, it's closed. So I'm going to be going right at this roundabout. So I'm improvising. I'm going to go right, centre mirror, right, signal, because I couldn't go right on the last one. And I'll get there eventually. And I'm going right. And everything's fine. and I'm checking my mirrors for the next bit now, and I'm signalling to come off. So panic stations have gone at that point. There's a road closure, it happens, you deal with it. So carrying on, we're going in the wrong lane. So the examiner asks you to go left, and for whatever reason you go mirror signal right, and you go right, and you get mixed up. Stick to the right lane, go right. You know, and if you have to, and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure where I'm going, I suppose you could even do a U-turn going right. Checking the mirrors to the left, signalling left to come off. But what's important is you don't force your way across to the other lane last second. So, they could say to you, go left, and you're checking your mirrors and you forget to signal, and you're thinking you're going to go ahead. And that's the same sort of thing. Just okay, it's fine. It's looking okay. I'm all right. I'm going to carry on. I'm signalling. I've gone the wrong way, but I've done nothing wrong, so I'm okay. And at that point, I won't fail my test. I might annoy the examiner a little bit by keep going the wrong way, but I'm safe, and that's what's important. Is your safety is the most critical thing when you're driving. You're driving around, controlling that car, controlling the people in it, so you got to keep safe. So the final one, and it's one of the most common things you see people do, which is called straight lining or drifting on the lanes. So the nice easy one is going to go ahead. Nothing too tricky about a roundabout, going to go ahead, but the amount of people who do it wrong is unreal. And I'm sure when you first started learning roundabouts, it happened with you. So we're in the left lane going ahead, or we're in the middle lane going ahead, and we drift across the roundabout like a straight line, like it doesn't exist, the lanes. So that'll get you serious. And if it's someone next to you, it'll get you dangerous. So we're slowing ourselves down for a second, and we're going to go ahead. And what confuses people sometimes is some roundabouts like this, they've got a white line dividing the lanes up, so it's easy. There's no confusion. And some roundabouts don't. And you've still got to stick to your lane, because if you go ahead, and you'll see cars doing it in front of you, and sometimes you copy them, not realising, then you've got to stick to your lane for safety, because at that point you're not checking what's outside of you. But if you're aware of what's outside of you, you're probably less likely to do it. So we're going to go ahead again, and the next roundabout we come to, there might be a white line dividing the lanes, there might not, but you've got to stick to your lane. So we're going to carry on going ahead again, and we're checking what's happening around us, and we're slowing down for the roundabout. So there's no lane marks on the approach, but there's 2 lanes here, left side to go ahead, and there's no lane markings that I can see on the roundabout, but I'm sticking to my left lane, my left side, next to that curb. Don't start shaving that bend and drifting across into the middle, thinking that you can shave a couple of seconds. It's not worth the hassle. So they're nice, easy ones. But the ones that are really dangerous when you start to straight line it are the ones where you're not in the left lane, you're in the middle lane, and I'm going to do that one next. And it's busy. It catches people out. It's a busy roundabout. You know, there's a lot of traffic ahead of me, so there's a good possibility someone's walking across the road and has it straight away. He's getting to that truck on the right, I think. Must have run out of something. He's got a can in his hand. Water, looks like. So we're slowing ourselves down. Difficult to see the lane markings. And remember, if you find yourself in the wrong lane, go where it's telling you. So we're going to go ahead, and it's telling us on the markings there, this lane can go ahead or left. And it's telling you at this point, but if you look ahead of you again, it's divided into 2. So it's telling you the middle lane goes ahead. So we're positioning ourselves to turn with a bend, and you can see there's 2 lanes there on the roundabout. So it's nothing too tricky. So you've got to stick to your left side. If you don't, you're going to go right across into that other lane next to the black car next to me. So that's the quick faults on the roundabouts that people do on the driving test. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, click on that subscribe, click on that bell to get the updates every week. Every Monday I'll update a video.